This is the Stephen A. Smith Show podcast.
I'm Stephen A.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to the latest edition of the Stephen A. Smith Show, coming at you as I love to do every weekday over the airwaves of ESPN Radio and ESPN News. 250-plus markets across the United States of America, plus ESPN Radio on Sirius XM Channel 80, plus ESPN Radio simulcast over the live national television airwaves of ESPN News. Number to call up, as always, is 888-SAY-ESPN. That's 888-729-3776. A reminder that yours truly is broadcasting live from Atlanta, Georgia for the rest of this week for coverage of the big game. That would be Super Bowl 53. It's being brought to you. The Stephen A. Smith Show is being brought to you by Peloton, live studio classes in the comfort of your own home. Time for Straight Talk, brought to you by Straight Talk Wireless, best phones, best networks, no contracts. Hopefully somebody can get my own echo out of my ear at this particular moment in time. Here's the deal. We got a lot of stuff to get into today. Obviously, C.J. Anderson, running back for the Los Angeles Rams, who's had a couple of destinations in his career, Denver, and then in the past year, Carolina and Oakland, before ending up in Los Angeles and doing very, very well for them, for the Los Angeles Rams throughout these playoffs, particularly against the Dallas Cowboys, and then obviously after that, the New Orleans Saints. We'll be talking to him in approximately 10 minutes or so I'm looking forward to that conversation. Lots of stuff to get into with him real quickly prior to the Super Bowl 53 festivities, and so I'm looking forward to that. Of course, there's also an abundance of things to get into in regards to Super Bowl 53. Tom Brady having a few things to say. Nickel Roby-Coleman having a few things to say about Tom Brady, having a few things to say about the Saints. We'll definitely get into all of that. We'll try to handicap this game coming up, Super Bowl 53, live from Atlanta, Georgia, this Sunday evening. Looking forward to talking about that as well. But the first order of business is to get into some NBA action. And obviously, Anthony Davis is the story over the last 24 to 36 hours, ever since his agent for Clutch Sports, Mr. Rich Paul, the same person that represents LeBron James, announced that they have indeed informed the Pelicans that Anthony Davis will not be signing any kind of extension with the team, that indeed he is looking to and wants to be traded out of New Orleans. There's a bunch of storylines that have been percolating. The Lakers are the front runner, but is it really Boston that's the front runner? Where will he end up, in L.A. or Boston? Other teams that may infiltrate the proceedings, what are they looking to do? How are they looking to activate themselves in these talks? And what kind of issues could they generate for Irvin Magic Johnson and the Los Angeles Lakers? Is the pressure on LeBron, or is the pressure on Magic Johnson? These are the kind of things that you've got to look at. And so for me, the first order of business is to say this. Anthony Davis is one of the top 3 or 4 players on the planet. He's not only a guy that walks around averaging 28 and 12, a guy that can guard 4 different positions and play in any front line position that you need him to play, small forward, power forward, center, offensively. He's also a 5-time All-Star. He's led the league in blocks 3 times. He's a 3-time All-NBA player. He's a 3-time All-Defensive player. He's the 2012-2013 Rookie of the Year. He's the MVP of the 2016-17 season All-Star game. All of those things are superlatives that are attached to his name. Here's what you can't attach to his name. That is being a winner. Now, that's not his fault. When he was at Kentucky, he won a national championship. A matter of fact, the only national championship that anybody ever delivered to John Calipari in all of his years of coaching. We have to remember that. John Calipari had John Wall. He had DeMarcus Cousins, okay? He had an abundance of people coming out of Kentucky, but there was something about this dude right here, Anthony Davis, that ultimately was able to propel you to victory. And that's really what this comes down to. We know what he did collegiately, but professionally, he's been in the league for 7 years. He's only made the postseason twice and only got out the first round once, which was last year when they swept the Portland Trailblazers in the first round before losing to Golden State in 5. We look at the New Orleans Pelicans, and we look at them and we say, okay, if Anthony Davis hasn't won for you, where's he going to win at? Because he says his priority is to contend for a championship and to be with a winner. So I don't want to hear any talk about the New York Knicks. Now, obviously, when you look at the New York Knicks, you're talking about pairing Kristaps Porzingis with Anthony Davis. Well, if you don't have Kristaps Porzingis to offer the Pelicans, why the hell would the New York Knicks have a snowball's chance in hell? of getting Anthony Davis. It simply makes absolutely no sense whatsoever. That's what this really comes down to. So the Knicks are not a viable option. The Philadelphia 76ers, yeah, you could give up Ben Simmons. And a lot of people look at that and they say, to hell with Ben Simmons. You know what? Forget all of that because Ben Simmons can't shoot. He doesn't even attempt a perimeter shot. Blah, blah, blah. Let me tell you something about Ben Simmons. I like his upside. To me, if Ben Simmons gets a jump shot, Ben Simmons is LeBron James part 2. That's what he is. He's that good. He's that special of a talent. 6'10", 6'11", with those ball handling skills, those passing skills, that basketball IQ. Ben Simmons is the real deal. It's a damn shame that he hasn't worked on his jump shot. And oh, by the way, Ben Simmons, in case you're anywhere listening, people are talking about you. They're saying that this past summer that you weren't religiously about being in that gym. Let's say, for example, if you had a commitment to be at the gym 10 times, you might have shown up 2 or 3 times. You know, if you were supposed to be working hours upon hours at a time, you weren't willing to put in the work. They're viewing you as somebody who's taking your talents for granted. I don't know whether it's true or not. Never asked you about it. All right. And we all can see that you're a big time ball player, but you need to be cognizant of the fact there are people out there saying this stuff about you, Ben Simmons. Despite all of that, I'm not letting go of Ben Simmons if I'm the Philadelphia 76ers because I don't believe the combination of Joel Embiid and Anthony Davis, as formidable as that is going to deliver me an NBA championship. I think today's culture, the way the game of basketball is played, with such a premium being placed on perimeter shooting, I don't believe that Anthony Davis and Joel Embiid are enough to get it done. That's just my personal opinion. I think that's important to point out. So you got a bevy of other teams like Adrian Wojnarowski, the ultimate NBA insider for ESPN. That's what he said to us yesterday when he was talking about teams being interested in the Pelicans. Don't think for one second there are not teams out there willing to roll the dice, because their mentality is that if they got their hands on Anthony Davis and he didn't want to commit long term to them, there are things that they can do with an Anthony Davis in terms of acquiring trade assets better than Dell Demps, the GM for the Pelicans, would ever be able to do. Which reminds me of the hot seat that Dell Demps is on. Because if you recall just months ago when David Stern, former commissioner of the NBA, David Stern, was engaging in revisionist history and talking about what transpired when Chris Paul was in New Orleans and he was supposed to become a Laker. But that deal got nixed before he ended up becoming a Clipper. And David Stern basically attributed it to the novice tendencies or the ineptitude and incompetence of Dell Demps. I personally thought it was a bit cruel on the part of the former commissioner, who's, if nothing else, is always known for being incredibly candid. Nevertheless, you're Dell Demps. And if there is any truth to what I'm hearing, that people like Greg Popovich are in his ear telling them don't feel pressured, don't feel the need to step up and just make any kind of deal. You wait, you take your time, you do what's right for your organization. That's the priority, because that's what the San Antonio Spurs did when they were on the phone with the Lakers for Kawhi Leonard, and Magic Johnson didn't want to give up a Brandon Ingram, or Magic Johnson didn't want to give up a Kyle Kuzma, and Greg Popovich and R.C. Buford was like, damn that, we ain't moving that. And then you got Toronto willing to come in the mix, roll the dice, take a chance, acquire Kawhi Leonard, and in return they were able to give away DeMar DeRozan, who the San Antonio Spurs have under contract for the next several years. These are the kind of things that are going on. If you're looking at it from that perspective, basically you have teams telling the New Orleans Pelicans, we can give you a better deal than the Lakers. You don't have to send Anthony Davis to the Lakers. You could send them to us. And if you send him to us, we'll try to keep him. And if we don't keep him, we could then trade his rights, and we'd probably get better assets too. So you got teams who want their bite at the apple when it comes to Anthony Davis. All this spells trouble for Earvin Magic Johnson. Because unlike Paul George, who was a free agent, unlike LeBron James, who was a free agent, you have a situation where you have somebody under contract, and that's not the greatest portion of Magic Johnson's track record. Paul George was a free agent. He elected to stay in Oklahoma City instead of coming to L.A., which is near Palmdale, where he was born and raised. You got that problem. You had Kawhi Leonard. He was under contract. You weren't willing to budge on a young talent that you had, so San Antonio balked. They said, "Nah, we ain't falling for that okie doke." And now you got a situation with New Orleans and Anthony Davis with the San Antonio Spurs in their ear, from what I'm being told, as to not caving. These are the kind of things that don't bode well for Magic Johnson, because I think here's what it comes down to. If I'm Magic Johnson, and I don't even have to be Magic Johnson, if I am the Los Angeles Lakers, and I'm Irvin Magic Johnson, I got to pay attention to the fact that Kevin Durant called playing with LeBron James toxic, to the point where that word toxic offended LeBron James, as he told our very own Rachel Nichols in a sit-down interview weeks ago. So he's not trying to play with LeBron. Kawhi Leonard, chances are he's not trying to play with LeBron. We don't know. Kyrie Irving, even though some people have speculated he could end up back in L.A., remember, he already left Cleveland because he wanted his own team as opposed to deferring to LeBron James, even though he recently acknowledged the mea culpa in terms of that thinking and called to apologize to LeBron. So we got all of that going on. And here's the reality. In order for the Lakers to get what they want, which is Anthony Davis, they need the Pelicans to cooperate. The Pelicans are not incentivized to cooperate because nobody's trying to help the Lakers. They're certainly not trying to help a team within their own conference. And you have a bevy of other teams that are saying, just be patient, because guess what? If you wait until the summer, since you do have Anthony Davis's right through next season, you can wait till the summer. And Magic is the one that has to convince them to pull the trigger beforehand. Rich Paul has to convince them to pull the trigger beforehand. LeBron James has to convince them to pull the trigger beforehand. And I personally don't see how any of them could do it. I don't see how any of them could do it. If you were telling me he could end up a Laker by the summer, I'm all in. But to tell me that the Pelicans can be forced to capitulating to the Lakers within the next 9 days before the NBA trading deadline expires. Let me tell you something right now. What information you got? You got pictures on Dell Demps or something? I mean, is there some incriminating level of evidence that he doesn't want to know anybody to know about, so he can hide behind this trade to gloss over some of his transgressions that he might not want publicized or something? I don't know. I'm just engaging in hyperbole here by making a statement like that, because there is no reason for the Pelicans, the New Orleans Pelicans, coached by Alvin Gentry, being run by Dell Demps, to capitulate to the Lakers. And I've gotten to the point where I'm scared for Magic, because I'm obviously rooting for the Lakers. I would love to see Anthony Davis in L.A. I would love to see another superstar playing alongside LeBron James. But my problem is, how you going to pull it off? How you going to pull it off? I don't see how you can do it. If you are the Los Angeles Lakers with Jerry West in L.A., with Doc Rivers, Lawrence Frank, Steve Ballmer, the billionaire, they're coming. What you going to do about it? And oh, by the way, all of these assets, the Lakers could have had additional assets. Did anybody take a moment to acknowledge what the Lakers' assets would look like right now if they had Jason Tatum and Kyle Kuzma, as opposed to Alonzo Ball? If they had De'Aaron Fox and Kyle Kuzma as opposed to Lonzo Ball? Did anybody contemplate that? Anybody? Because I'm here to tell you, I have. And the reality is that I'm nervous about what I'm seeing. That's how I feel about it. And I think it's very, very important to acknowledge. 888-SAY-ESPN. It's 888-729-3776. These are the things that matter. These are the things that are important. Right now, I'm waiting to hear from our producers. For those of you who may not know, C.J. Anderson, running back for the Los Angeles Rams, is expected to be on the line with us any minute from Super Bowl week here in Atlanta. I don't know if we're having technical difficulties or not, because I'm not hearing anybody right now, but I'm certainly hoping to get C.J. Anderson on any minute now. I'm told he's about to call in, and I hope that is going to be the case. Looking forward to talking to him, because there's a lot to discuss. I think he's done a good job. I think he's been through a lot this year, and I think he's proven himself on a variety of levels, and he deserves our credit for it. I really do. So it's going to be real interesting to see what's going to go on with him, particularly with Todd Gurley struggling the way that he did in the NFC Championship game. 4 carries for just 10 yards against the New Orleans Saints. That was quite shocking, to say the least. So it's going to be real interesting to see what happens. Make no mistake about it. 888-SAY-ESPN. That's 888-729-3776. Any second now, we should have C.J. Anderson on the line with us. C.J. Anderson, are you there, sir?
I am. What's up, Steve?
What's going on, Big Tom? How are you, man? How's everything going?
Oh, man, I couldn't be more appreciative and thankful for everything in my life. And, I'm real good right now. How about yourself?
I'm doing great, man. It's good to talk to you. First of all, congratulations. I mean, we saw you in Denver years ago. We saw you in Oakland and Carolina. This year, you're in Los Angeles. And some people thought your career was left for dead. That clearly wasn't the case. We saw you rush for over 129 yards against the Cowboys. I think it was around that number. About 113 last week against New Orleans. Talk to me about what these playoffs have been like for you and how you've gone about the business of performing the way that you've been performing.
I just think, the first part, just with the playoffs, a lot of it reminds me about postseason play when I was in Denver and we was making postseason runs and trying to win championships and Super Bowls. And I got a lot of games under my belt and a lot of experience, and I think that helps too. And then as far as just playing well, just the scheme and the system is definitely helping. I'm definitely used to the scheme just because I've been in it before. The O-line's playing great, and, I'm seeing the game completely different, when I was 24, right, than what I am right now at 27.
It's interesting because when we look at the Rams and coming into the playoffs, it was all about Todd Gurley. Does having an elite runner like that playing before you, essentially being somebody that's paired with him or being a backup to him, is there a way where that could come across as making life a bit easier because the pressure seems to be on that guy and the focal point seems to be on him as opposed to somebody like yourself? Is that something that ends up working out for a person playing the role that you're playing in your estimation?
I don't know that. I know one thing,
okay.
We both been Pro Bowlers in this league, and we both played at high level when given the opportunity. I think when Ty gets his touches and he gets rolling, he can be very dangerous. And when I've had my opportunity and got the right amount of touches, I've made do with those touches too. I think what the biggest thing that helps me is the communication that me and Todd talks about and how we try to help each other game flourish. At this time during the year, it's not about stats. It's not about who can score the more touchdowns or who's this, who's that. It's about winning. And, if Todd is having a hell of a game, like the Dallas game when he got going, I didn't want to come in. There was times McVay was like, CJ, I need this for you. But I'm like, Todd is going. And me and Todd kind of talked about that. And it was kind of the same way when I got going during Dallas and Todd was saying, man, let CJ go. I just think, we both respect each other's games because we both played it at a high level at one point, at some time during the season or some time points of our career. And that's helping out for us.
C.J. Anderson right here with Stephen A., ESPN Radio, ESPN News. C.J. Anderson is right here on behalf of his very own foundation, the Dreams Never Die Foundation. Talk to me about how long this foundation has existed, C.J., and give us some, some information about the name behind it all. It seems quite obvious, but I'd like you to tell our listeners through your own words.
So, Dreams Never Die was founded in 2016 by myself. I grew up in the neighborhood, very rough. Single-parent home, drugs was in my house, sold and being drug addicts. I won't say who, of course, but I've had, police and different raids and different things going on when I was a child. And, I lacked resources. And growing up, all I saw was, playing the NFL. Or if I don't play in the NFL, then I will be this. And I know there's kids who grew up like me. I know kids who've grown up with farther more circumstances than what I have. And the goal is to give them opportunities that I never had growing up. And now just having the partnerships with Google and Microsoft and DocuSign and Twitch and YouTube and different robotic companies and Harvard and UC Berkeley and MIT. And, we're giving kids all outlets in every aspect, whether that's being the next you, Stephen A., having their own TV show. I heard you talk about the other day, how you came up, from being a backup writer, to doing a bunch of internships to now where you are today. Kids don't know that's success. And you look just like one of us. Kids don't know that's success. Kids think success is being the next Jay-Z or being the next myself or the next Todd Gurley, which that's success too. But then there's so many other different ways that you can be successful and make a substantial living and staying off the streets. And that's the whole purpose of the Dreams Never Die Foundation. That's our mission, to provide inner city youth with resources outside of football and entertainment. And, having role models like yourself and having the Sunsets and the Sridhars, Ramasamis, and Google who look just like us, a minority who play these big-time exec in these big-time companies to change lives, to change the world. And having them help my foundation means so much to me.
Wow, man, that's a phenomenal message. How can people contribute to this foundation? You have a website. I mean, how can people get to it?
So the website's dndfoundation22.org. You can /donate. Our motto is we'll take a penny. We'll take a penny up to $999 billion. We don't care who you are. The big goal that we're doing, hopefully by 2022, 2023, I have built a facility, a 60,000 square foot facility in my hometown with all these resources provided in it. So YouTube and Google's and Twitch and all the different pipelines from Harvard that we connected already, and UC Berkeley and Stanford and Sonoma State and a bunch of different other schools that we have connections with, where kids will get an opportunity, whether that's a partial scholarship and the foundation take care of the rest, or a full-ride scholarship for that college education. If you're really good at coding, and we've had some kids that already been offered some jobs out of high school from Google or from Microsoft because they code so well, and it's just a natural gift. So that's one way you can check on it. I mean, we've done field trips to Google with our kids, field trips to LinkedIn. We brought YouTube down to us, and when we get a chance to put it all in one facility, when you'll be able to walk in, you'll be able to. It's kind of like the farmer's market. You'll be able to walk to where you want to and what you see fit. That's going to help you reach your dream, whatever that is.
Wow. C.J. Anderson right here with Stephen A., ESPN Radio, ESPN News, man. Appreciate that. Appreciate all that information and your efforts, more importantly, just giving back. That's what it's all about, man. So I applaud you for that. Before I let you get on out of here, you do have a Super Bowl to win. And obviously, when everybody's been talking, they've been talking about the New England Patriots, the greatness of Tom Brady. Your teammate, Nickell Robey-Coleman, obviously said that Tom Brady is the GOAT, make no mistake about it, but in the same breath said he's not what he used to be. How are the Rams feeling about this encounter against the New England Patriots, and how confident are you guys that y'all could win this Super Bowl?
We're confident. I mean, from the outside in, they're battle tested. Big game Thursday night against the Minnesota Vikings. Great defense early in the season, and then week 9 on the road was down in New Orleans, and then find a way to come back, but just came up short. The shootout against the Chiefs, and then when I got here, just the NFC Championship last week, being down in that same building in that hostile environment. We're confident. We're battle tested. We're super confident. I don't know what Roby was talking about with Tom Brady not looking the same, because when I watch tape, just watching the tape, giving the defense a little help, because it's my 8th time playing the New England Patriots. But when I watch tape or watch the TV copy, Brady looks the same to me. I guess Nickell's just trying to get a bunch of targets thrown at him this Sunday, which if he's going to make plays, we're happy for it. But, we look at this as a great challenge. I mean, one thing you got to do, what I've learned in the 7 games I played the Patriots, beating them 4 times, you got to earn it. You have to earn it. And when you beat them, you do earn it, and they make you play at a high level. So it's a good challenge, and we're up for the challenge, and we got the players and the coaches to go do it.
My last question to you would be this. What's the one thing that absolutely positively has to happen for you guys in order for you to beat the New England Patriots for the Super Bowl championship?
It's a couple of things. Probably the one biggest thing is we have to run the ball. We have to run the ball better than what we did in New Orleans, and we have to be better on third down. We can't start late. We can't be. I think we were 0-4, 0-5 on third down before we found our first point with the big bomb to Cook, and then Todd punching it in the end zone. But we have to be better on third down and sustain drives, because that's what championship football teams do. So that's running the ball efficiently, but being efficient on third down is the biggest key, and I think that's if we can do that, we'll have a high chance of winning.
C.J. Anderson, running back for the Los Angeles Rams. I'm proud of you, bro, but I got bad news for you. I might not let you on this show again. You're too damn good at this. You might take my job. I got to keep my job, C.J. I got to keep my job.
Nah, man, you worked hard. See, I got mad respect for you. You worked hard to get where you was. You know, I know what Derek Carr said the other day. You know, because I saw it come across my Twitter. But you know, no disrespect to DC. I love DC to death. Old teammate of mine. But you was absolutely right. Some people don't understand the hardships and the grind that you had to go through. It. You might say some things way out of portion, out of character at times, but it's all in good. It's all in good tissues. It's all in good faith. And, you know, I know that you put the work into this. You know, so that's a good thing. But if you give me an opportunity, like anything else, I've always been good off opportunities. If you give me an opportunity to take your job, I'm gonna take it.
Man, I feel you on that. I know this much. We're going to bring you on TV and back on this radio show. I'm only playing with you. We'll bring you back once you handle your business in the Super Bowl. You take it easy, all right?
You too.
Take it easy. The one and only C.J. Anderson for the Los Angeles Rams right here with Stephen A. ESPN Radio, ESPN News. That was Straight Talk Wireless, nationwide coverage of America's largest and most dependable 4G LTE networks. We'll get back to NBA talk, get into some NFL Super Bowl 53 talk. You heard what he said. They got to run the football and they got to convert on first downs. Those are the two key pivotal things in order for the Rams to beat the Patriots, according to C.J. Anderson. I think it's getting pressure on Tom Brady. What do you think? We'll get into all of that and more as the Stephen A. Smith Show on ESPN Radio and ESPN News progresses throughout the next hour and a half or so. By the way, do you have frequent heartburn? Like the kind where you have an acid stashed everywhere in case it pops up? You know what I mean. You keep some in your bag or your desk or your car or your nightstand. You have those chalky tablets ready for whenever and wherever heartburn strikes. Well, listen up. There's an easier way to deal with your heartburn. That's Prilosec OTC. Just one pill a day will last a full 24 hours with zero heartburn. Kick your antacid habit, please. It's possible with Prilosec OTC. Use as directed for 14 days to treat frequent heartburn, not for immediate relief. 888-SAY-ESPN, 888-729-3776. Back with your calls and more in a minute with Stephen A. ESPN Radio, ESPN News.
Geico presents eyewitness interviews with inanimate objects.
This is Brian Bruno live on the scene of a recent windstorm, here to describe the event, A Chest of Drawers.
There's a storm howling outside, so I thought I'd stay in and watch a rom-com. 5 minutes into the flick, a tree branch slams through the window.
Were you hurt?
I just got a scratch on my chest.
Your chest of drawers can't help you in a windstorm, but the Geico Insurance Agency can help you get covered for personal property damage. Call Geico to see how affordable homeowners insurance can be.
You're listening to the Stephen A. Smith Show podcast.
If you missed any of my opening segment, don't worry about it. Go check it out on demand in the Stephen A. podcast. Brought to you by the new Capital One Saver Card. Earn 4% cash back on dining and entertainment, 2% at grocery stores, and 1% on all other purchases. Hey, what's in your wallet? 888-SAY-ESPN. That's 888-729-3776. That is the number to call in to the Stephen A. Smith Show right here on ESPN Radio and ESPN News. I'll get back to I'll get to the phone calls. Rather, I'll also get to some of the NBA talk we've been having about Anthony Davis. But I got some breaking news that I wanted to touch on because I'm quite annoyed. If you all would recall, there was a post-fight melee, UFC 229, this past October, where Conor McGregor went up against Khabib Nurmagomedov. Khabib is undefeated now, having beaten Conor McGregor. Conor McGregor tapped out in the fourth round, lost that fight. Nurmagomedov is 27-0, goes up against Conor McGregor, but after beating Conor McGregor, he took out his mouthpiece, threw it in the direction of one of Conor McGregor's trainers, jumped over the octagon cage after the guy. If you remember, one of the reasons why Nurmagomedov was so fired up that Conor McGregor talked about his nation, his country, questioned his patriotism, insulted and discredited his family, along with Nurmagomedov himself, and it was just so personal that's what ultimately transpired. Well, the Nevada State Athletic Commission came down with a ruling today. They voted unanimously today to suspend both Nurmagomedov and Conor McGregor for their respective roles in the post-fight melee. Nurmagomedov gets a 9-month suspension, and he's fined $500,000 of a disclosed $2 million purse. The suspension is dated retroactively to October 6th, the date of UFC 229, meaning he is eligible to return July 6th. So essentially, Nurmagomedov is basically being suspended for the next 6 months, along with Conor McGregor. Additionally, the Nevada State Athletic Commission offered to reduce the suspension to as little as 6 months if Nurmagomedov participates in a local anti-bullying campaign. McGregor received a suspension of 6 months and fined $50,000. He'll be eligible to return to competition as soon as this April, which means essentially Nurmagomedov is really getting 6 months. Conor McGregor is really getting 3 months. That says he's eligible to come back in April. That's the situation right there. A quote, getting this from the news desk of ESPN, reaction from Khabib's manager, Ali Abdulaziz. He says on a difference in fines amounts between Khabib and Conor, he says, quote, I don't think it's fair. Khabib gets $500K and Conor only gets fined $50,000. I think it's BS. And he used the word, not the initials. He said on the length of the suspensions, he says, I think that's fair. They'll both get 6 months. But for his teammates, it was too much. Forget the teammates here. Let me tell you where I stand. There is no way in hell that Conor McGregor should get a fine $10,000 less than Nurmagomedov. I love Conor McGregor. I think he's box office. I hope that he comes back. I don't think he'd beat Nurmagomedov in a rematch because Nurmagomedov is a monster, no doubt about it. But I would love it if he did beat him because then it'd be a trilogy and I would love for that to happen. I would just love it. Okay? Having said all of that, let me be very, very clear because the UFC and any kind of commissions that are out there are going to accept the ruling of the Nevada State Athletic Commission, as Ariel Helwani revealed. This is not some situation where you just get to leave Vegas and fight somewhere else, and they're not going to respect the Nevada State Athletic Commission's ruling. If they suspended you for 6 months, everybody's going to honor that, which means Nurmagomedov probably ain't fighting it before July, and Conor McGregor ain't fighting before April. My biggest issue is this. Conor McGregor should not get a fine 10 times less than Nurmagomedov. That's bogus. Because what Nurmagomedov is saying, provocation has to come into the equation. It's not a matter of whether you should fine him or not. It's not a matter of him saying he doesn't deserve to be fined. It's a matter of you saying that his behavior was so much worse than the instigator that was Conor McGregor. Now, I want to make sure that I'm very, very clear because I know Dana White's listening. Okay? And I want everybody to understand where I'm coming from because I know there's UFC experts out there listening. The Daniel Cormiers of the world, the Rashad Evans, who I just spoke to the other day, the Michael Bisping and all of these guys. Love these guys. Let me be very, very clear. John Bones Jones is my absolute favorite. And I like Conor McGregor. I think he made mistakes. I think he needs to reel himself in behavior-wise and do more performing in the ring than he does talking outside of it. Because the reality of the situation is we saw you lose to Nate Diaz. We saw you lose the exhibition boxing match to Floyd Money Mayweather. We saw you get destroyed by Nurmagomedov, even though I applaud Conor McGregor for lasting as long as he did, because one could have easily stopped that fight in the second round. But I do think it's important to point this out. And I do think it's important because I don't think it's escapable. The reality is that there's something that should be said about being an instigator and a provocateur. Nurmagomedov didn't jump over the octagon cage and jump into the stands and fight some innocent patron who's not a licensed fighter. He went after the trainer, or one of the trainers of the strength and conditioning coach, I forgot who it was, of Conor McGregor. Somebody who I was told knows jiu-jitsu, for crying out loud. You talking that smack. He went after them. He didn't went after some harmless old person or some kid or whatever. This wasn't the second coming of Meta World Peace jumping into the stands at the Palace in Auburn Hills back in 2004. He went after somebody that's in Conor McGregor's camp who is also a fighter and a trainer, etc. So I think that needs to be taken into consideration, and maybe they did, which is why he didn't receive a lengthier suspension. My only point is his fine shouldn't be 10 times larger than Conor McGregor. Because there's something to be said. I mean, everybody's got to say, you can't say some of the stuff that Conor McGregor said about his daddy, about Russia, his nation. You just can't do stuff like that. Everybody ain't going to take it the same. So I think Conor McGregor deserved a heftier fine. Having said all of that, can I get a rematch, please? I mean, please, pretty please, we should go. I would love to see a rematch. Even though Nurmagomedov should be favored and will probably win because he focused on taking Conor McGregor to the ground. The reality is Conor McGregor, despite a 2-year layoff, did last 4 rounds. He might be better prepared next time. I'm just saying. 888-SAY-ESPN. That's 888-729-3776. We'll get back to more of your calls in a minute. The Stephen A. Smith Show, ESPN Radio, ESPN News. By the way, for special occasions like Valentine's, 1-800-Flowers has the best bouquets and deals around. Like 18 red roses for $29.99 or upgrade to 24 red roses for $10 more. To order, go to 1-800-Flowers.com/ESPN. Back to your calls in a minute. You're listening to Stephen A., ESPN Radio, ESPN News.
Guess what? You're in the middle of the Stephen A. Smith Show podcast.
Damn it, I mean it!
Stephen A. Smith Show, ESPN Radio is presented by Progressive Insurance, protecting commercial vehicles and offering specialized coverages designed to protect your business. More at ProgressiveCommercial.com. Also, this Sunday, ESPN Deportes is your home for Super Bowl 53 in Spanish. Espanol. Will Brady and Belichick win their 6th Super Bowl together? Or will Jared Goff and Todd Gurley bring the Lombardi back to L.A.? It's Super Bowl 53 this Sunday in Espanol on ESPN Deportes. Coverage starts at 6 p.m. Eastern Time. 888-SAY-ESPN. That's 888-729-3776. Real quick, let's get to the phones. Let's get to Matt. You're live at Stephen A. What's up, Matt? Go ahead.
Hey, how you doing, Stephen A? It's Matt. First time caller, long time listener, man. Nice, enjoyed your show.
Thank you.
I want to talk. I want to talk about how the Rams are going to destroy the Patriots by putting pressure on Tom Brady. They put pressure on Tom Brady. They get him dirty and on the ground, Stephen A. I'm telling you, there's no doubt about it that the Rams are going to beat the Patriots. It might even be a blowout win.
Well, I ain't going to call it no blowout. I don't see that happening. I don't see the Patriots making the same mistake they made against the Atlanta Falcons, letting somebody get out to a 28-3 lead. I certainly know that the Rams are capable of beating the New England Patriots. They've got the talent to pull it off. I just don't think they're in a situation where they're going to jump out to that kind of lead. I don't believe it. So I think that it could potentially be a nail biter. My fear is that they give Tom Brady the ball with just enough time and they find a way. The more people that talk about New England winning, the more I think the Rams are going to win. But if it's up in the air and it's tossed up there as to whether or not it's going to be the Rams or the Patriots, I'm going to roll with the Patriots. But I'll make my decision by Friday. I appreciate the call, though, Matt. Thank you so much. 888-SAY-ESPN. It's 888-729-3776. Hour number 2 up next.
That's just a sample of what you'll hear on the Stephen A. Smith Show. Weekdays at 1 p.m. Eastern on ESPN Radio and the ESPN app. This is the Stephen A. Smith Show podcast.
I'm Stephen A. Welcome to hour number 2 of the Stephen A. Smith Show, coming at you as I love to do every weekday over the national airwaves of ESPN Radio and ESPN News, 250-plus markets across the United States of America. Check your AM, FM dial nearest you, plus ESPN Radio on Sirius XM, Channel 80, plus ESPN Radio simulcast over the live national television airwaves of ESPN News. Number to call up, as always, is 888-SAY-ESPN. That's 888-729-3776. The Stephen A. Smith Show is being brought to you by Indeed, used by over 3 million businesses for hiring. Post a job today at Indeed.com/hire. Plus, get triple action protection for optimal engine performance with Shell V-Power Nitro, plus premium gasoline. Any minute now, we're expecting a call from the voice of Los Angeles, California, columnist extraordinaire for many, many years for the Los Angeles Times. His name would be Bill Plashke, one of the great, great columnists in the United States of America. Can't wait to talk to him about all the things percolating in the city of Los Angeles, California. A matter of fact, he is here right now. Again, the voice of L.A. as far as I'm concerned, the great Bill Plaschke, who, by the way, you can see a lot of times on Around the Horn on ESPN. Every weeknight at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 2 p.m. Pacific. Bill Plashke of the Los Angeles Times is on the lines with us right now. What's going on, Bill? How are you, man?
Thanks, man. What's going on, man? You're always in the middle of it. So what's up with AD? I tell you what.
I got it.
Magic has to get. I think we agree with this. Magic has to get this done. He has got to get
That's
this.
where I'm going with you. That's where I'm going with you right now, Bill Plaschke. You being in Los Angeles, seeing how moribund the franchise were over the last 5 years prior to Magic Johnson's arrival. We know he pulled off the heist. He got LeBron James to come to Los Angeles. But it doesn't stop there. In your eyes, Bill Plaschke, being in L.A., understanding the tradition and the history that comes along with the Los Angeles Lakers, is there more pressure on Magic or more pressure on LeBron to recruit? Who are you putting the pressure on, Bill Plaschke?
Oh, it's on Magic. I mean, this is what he was hired to do. LeBron was hired to play. Magic was hired to build a team. And Stephen, you know as well as I do, there's a sentiment out there that LeBron, that he wasn't a real tough woo. It wasn't that tough to get him. Let's face it, LeBron wanted to come to L.A.
Correct.
What Magic needs to do is to make the big trade. Could he have made the trade for Paul George? We think he could have. He did not. He wouldn't give him the players. Could he have made a trade for Kawhi Leonard? There's a chance, but he wouldn't give up Kyle Kuzma. So he's 0 for 2 on big potential trades. He's got to make this one happen, because now that LeBron's here, it's the whole impetus is don't waste the greatest player ever. Don't waste his time here. Don't blow the window you have with him here. And I think we see with him getting hurt this year and him perhaps the little wear on the tires there, the impetus is even more now to get somebody in as soon as possible to get them a championship. That's what Magic, when he was hired in 2017 to lead the franchise, his goal, his mandate was to bring back a championship to L.A. And the way to do that is to get Anthony, at this point, is to get Anthony Davis. LeBron James needs help, and he can't wait. He can't say, well, if we can't get Davis, we'll get a free agent this summer. I don't know what free agent wants to come play with LeBron right now. I'm not so sure how that works. I'm not so sure how attracted the Lakers are right now with LeBron and some guys who aren't really gelling very well. This is really on Magic, and he's got to get this done. And he's got to get this done in the next 7 days, or in the next 10 days.
Bill Plaschke, just explaining the field of journalism to those who may not understand. You have reporters and feature writers and people like that who acquire information and write articles. Then you have columnists who have the license to editorialize and give their opinions. And then you have the truly great ones in this industry like yourself who does both. And so I asked this question for you, not just from an informational perspective, but from an opinion and editorial perspective. If you had the opportunity to get Anthony Davis, what on the Lakers are you offering the Pelicans in order to try to pull this off? Is it everything, Bill?
Everybody.
Is it all in for Anthony Davis in your estimation?
Everybody but Lawrence Tanner, the PA guy. Everybody. Absolutely. I mean, there's no question. You give them everybody. I mean, and even that, the Lakers without LeBron have not looked very well. Even that might not get it done. The Pelicans might say, we don't want this. Brandon Ingram's underachieving. Lonzo Ball's injury prone. Kyle Kuzma is inconsistent. That may hurt them. But I do think there's enough talent there that the Pelicans can take it, because I guarantee you, the Pelicans wait for Boston in July, and Anthony Davis comes out and says, I ain't going to re-sign with Boston. Then the price then it'll be a much smaller offer that the Celtics can give. So the Pelicans better act now. And the Lakers better offer him everything. I just can't see. I don't think the L.A. populace will stand for another, we didn't want to give him Kuzma, so we couldn't get him. Or we wanted to keep Lonzo Ball a Laker. No, that's all bets are off on the kids. They've had their chance. They have looked pretty awful without LeBron. Well, they've got potential. They could be great one day. Yeah. Maybe all of them, but not now. And it's not happening in the next couple of years. All right.
We're talking to Bill Plaschke for the Los Angeles Times right here with Stephen A., ESPN Radio and ESPN News. Bill, when we talk about the Los Angeles Lakers, we obviously, because of the whole Anthony Davis scenario, we're now looking at the Lakers in terms of their collective assets. Is it one of those things where if Magic doesn't get Anthony Davis, it's not just about him getting Anthony Davis. It's the fact that he drafted Alonzo Ball as opposed to a Jason Tatum or De'Aaron Fox or to a lesser degree Donovan Mitchell, because nobody saw Donovan Mitchell being as great as he is now. Is it one of those situations now we because you don't get Anthony Davis, we now reflect on Magic Johnson, the executive that elected to take Lonzo Ball with the number 2 overall pick? Is that a question in your mind, Bill?
Yes, and and again, I supported the Lonzo pick when it happened. So I'm not second guessing Magic on that, but I'm saying yes, It looks bad. He trading D'Angelo Russell. I thought that had to happen. I thought that was necessary for the team. That doesn't look so good now either. So, no, a lot of the warts come out, and a lot of the foibles and the flaws come out if you don't get Anthony Davis. Because I'm telling you, I don't – like last year, we were pretty sure, almost positive LeBron was coming. This year, can you be positive another free agent will join them? Can you be positive?
No.
Somebody's going to come and say no, because for one thing, he's going to say, well, LeBron's, his guy's is going to be 35 years old, and for another thing, he doesn't have much around him. So I don't think they can be positive. So this whole thing could be at risk here. This whole LeBron James era experiment could be at risk here if they don't get a great player to play for him. And now they've got a chance. They've got one chance, and I think they can get this guy, because I think New Orleans knows that this is the best they're going to get, because Anthony Davis is going to make such a stink down there, and he's already made his statement, and he's already, he's controlling his own future. He doesn't want to be signed with Boston. He wants to come play in L.A. He's pretty much all but said that. I think the Pelicans need to do this now before they lose him for nothing.
Bill Plaschke right here with Stephen A., ESPN Radio, ESPN News. Bill, as we sit here and we reflect on the situation involving the Los Angeles Lakers, I'd be remiss in not bringing up that other team in Los Angeles, the Los Angeles Clippers. Once upon a time, we thought it was a surefire deal that Kawhi Leonard wanted to be a Laker. Then suddenly we started hearing, the Clippers would warrant strong consideration. We saw Kevin Durant throwing out statements about how being a teammate of LeBron's is toxic, although he tailed back on that, especially after speaking to LeBron, who admitted he was offended when he had first heard of such things. But clearly it didn't appear as if KD was interested in coming to help LeBron James win more championships. So I'm looking at the Clippers having some cap space. I look at them being a younger team who looks better than the Lakers look right now, with a billionaire in Steve Ballmer as the owner, with the great Jerry West as the guy that has his ear as a consultant, with Doc Rivers who can coach, and Lawrence Frank who knows a thing or two about basketball. Is it possible that we could be sitting here a year from now and saying the Clippers' future looks far brighter than the Lakers with LeBron James?
Absolutely, and that's a huge point, and that's more impetus than ever for Magic to make the move. The Clippers are for real in this thing. They're going to get Kawhi Leonard. I think they're going to get Kawhi Leonard, and they may get two guys. They may get Kevin. They may get two stars. People want to play for Ballmer. He's got so much money. He treats his people so well over there. It's a changed organization. Their whole focus right now is trying to make it a great place for Kawhi Leonard to come play, and I think they've done that. So they're going to get him. So make no mistake, I'm pretty sure they're going to get him. So then how the Lakers going to look if LeBron James and a bunch of kids who don't seem to gel around him, and the Clippers a team on the rise? Yes, even more impetus for Magic, because that team down the hall, don't sleep on them. Do not sleep on them. It's all coming together for them this summer. I believe this summer it'll all come together. The West and Ballmer and Lawrence Frank and Doc Rivers, conglomerate will land at least one, if not two, big stars.
Bill Plaschke for the Los Angeles Times right here with Stephen A., ESPN Radio, ESPN News. It's interesting that you say that, because I guess what happens is that now we look at ourselves and it begs of this question. Jerry West and Magic Johnson, could you enlighten my viewers, my listeners, of what that relationship is like and how competitive they are against one another at this particular moment in time? Because regardless of how Jerry West wants to downplay it, he's just a consultant. He gives advice, but he's not the decision maker. We all know that Steve Ballmer brought him in for a reason, and we also know how competitive both he and Magic Johnson are. What can you say to enlighten our audience about the relationship, competitive or beyond, that exists between Jerry West and Earvin Magic Johnson?
Oh, and I think Jerry and Earvin love each other. They're like brothers. They love each other. But Jerry, not a big fan of the Lakers. He wants to stick it to the Lakers. Absolutely, positively, Jerry West is on this earth right now to get over on the Lakers. Absolutely, I think Jerry
and
West
why is
still
that,
part
Bill?
of him. Part of him still thinks he should be there. Part of him thinks he never should have left there. Part of him thinks that they should have brought him back there. Part of the Los Angeles thinks they should have brought him back there. He'll never say any of this, but part of him, I know part of him feels this way. And, and he's the icon. He's the logo, and he's, and his greatness. I guess Magic's still the greatest Laker player ever, but Jerry West could argue could be the greatest Laker ever overall because of all of his general managing and his executive skills. So anyway, yes, he's always, I think, in deep down would have rather retired and ended his career as a Laker. Now he wants to put it to the Lakers, absolutely, and he's got the money to do it. He's got the ownership to do it. So don't mess with him on this. And he sits He sits right by under the basket, and he watches everything, and he sees everything. And don't you think for a minute he's in the ear of Steve Ballmer on everything. So Jerry West is going to shape that organization. It'd be a huge triumph for him this summer, and I see it coming. And again, that's a further dagger into the Lakers if they can't get this Anthony Davis thing done.
Bill Plaschke, I'll tell you right now, if Magic Johnson doesn't end up getting Anthony Davis, I think what the number one thing we're going to be talking about is how he missed out on Paul George. Because with Paul George in Oklahoma City, playing like an MVP candidate as we speak, if Magic Johnson had gotten him, he would not have had to surrender any assets.
He could have traded for him. He could have traded for him. It would have been Brandon Ingram. He didn't want to give up Brandon Ingram.
I know that. But what I'm saying is, even after that, you had an opportunity to out-recruit Oklahoma City, per se, to lure him to L.A. You couldn't do it without having to give up any of those assets, because LeBron would have still come, and who knows what kind of position the Los Angeles Lakers would have been in at that particular juncture. We might find ourselves on reflecting on that. To that, you say what?
Well, I say I'm not so sure. I think the biggest mistake was not trading for him. I'm not so sure he gave the Lakers much of a chance, from my understanding, when they were recruiting him. Yeah. I'm not so sure he gave them much of a chance. I blame Magic. He could have had the best way to recruit him is to have him be a Laker the year before, like Oklahoma City. That's how you recruit him, and that's where he lost out on not making that deal. He couldn't pull the trigger on that trade when they would have traded him to here for sure. That's where I think it all goes back to.
What's the problem with Brandon Ingram? Because you brought up how Magic wouldn't let him go for Paul George. What's the problem with Brandon Ingram? He's not a scrub. He can play, but he just doesn't move me, Bill Plaschke. I think the Lakers should have gotten rid of him because I don't think he fits into what they want to do with LeBron on the court.
Oh, he looks lost. More than anybody else out there, he looks lost with LeBron. He looks lost. But you know what? He looks lost without LeBron, too. There's questions about his motor. There's questions about his strength. About his toughness, about his ferocity. I think he just hasn't matured into the kind of player they all thought he was. He was the untouchable. Remember, 2 years ago, as we just talked about, he was the untouchable for Paul George. They weren't going to give him up. And now he'd be almost he's not even the top two players that the other teams want. You know, everybody wants Kuzma and they want Lonzo Ball, though I'm not sure why. But right. He's their third option, and everybody thinks.
Well, stay right there. Stay right there, Bill.
Okay.
Go ahead. I was going to ask you how you feel about Lonzo Ball.
Yeah, I think Lonzo Ball, I think his body may not be fit for the rigors of the NBA. He gets hurt too much. He was babied a lot growing up in a situation. I think he gets hurt too much. But again, I don't want the Pelicans to be listening to this show. I want them to take these guys. I'm telling you, a new look, a new life, a new scenery, change of scenery. These guys are all young stars. Take them, New Orleans. Take them. They'll be great for you. They just start working here with LeBron. They'll be great for you. Take them.
Bill Plaschke right here with Stephen A., ESPN Radio, ESPN News. Just a couple of more questions before I let you get on out of here, Bill. Your thoughts about the tenure of Luke Walton. At the beginning of the season, we heard he had a private meeting with Magic. Magic told him he wanted to upgrade his assistant coaching staff, do a couple of things differently. Didn't like the fact that stuff got out. We don't know why, but in the end, what it comes down to is that I think that Luke Walton is a pretty good coach. Hasn't proven to be great yet, but is pretty good, and I'm hoping that he survives. What are your thoughts about what you've seen from Luke Walton, the way he has coached these Los Angeles Lakers, and the job security that he may or may not have with the Los Angeles Lakers?
I think he's done, and I've written this a couple times, he's done the best he can under a mixed-matched team that Magic built around LeBron with a bunch of, I call them the kooks and the kids, and he hasn't given him much to work with outside LeBron. He really hasn't. He didn't really, help complement LeBron very well, didn't give him any shooters. He's done the best he can with a bad roster. I think, and I think he's a good coach, and I wish they would show him the same patience they've showed to Brandon Ingram and let him grow into the job. I fear, though, that by the end of the year, they're going to make a change. I just fear LeBron's going to get his guy in there. I fear that Jeannie Buss loves Luke. We all love Luke, and I figure she can protect him for the rest of the season. I'm not so sure what happens for next season. I don't know if you can guarantee he'll be back next season. I think he lasts the season, and I think he should get another chance. He should get a chance to coach LeBron when he's healthy with another star, with a decent roster. He should get that chance. You saw what he did in Golden State, but I just don't think LeBron's camp is going to give him that, or Magic is going to give him that chance.
If Magic can't pull off getting Anthony Davis within the next 9 days, where do you think Magic should go from there? Where do you think he can go from there?
Well, he has to wait. He has to hope the kids look really good during the season, and he has to hope that next summer he has to somehow, of course, Magic can't be caught tampering, but word's got to get to Anthony Davis, and he's got to tell everybody he'll only sign with the Lakers. I mean, he's got to hope that by the time Boston comes in there with their great draft picks, with the Jason Tatums and the Jaylen Browns of the world, and Boston comes charging in with all these assets, that Anthony Davis will say, I don't care how much you give up for me, I'm not re-signing with you. That's the only thing he can hope for. And I guess that's possible, but that's a big risk.
Well,
we saw what happened.
Let me give you Bill Plaschke. Let me give you another nugget of hope. And I'm just speaking hypothetically here. Suppose the Boston Celtics decide not to give Kyrie Irving $190 million.
Oh, do you really think he's going to come back to play with LeBron? I know where you're going here. You think he's going to come back?
I don't think so, but I'm asking you, how would you feel about it? How would you feel about it if he wanted to?
He walked out on him once. I don't know how you can have him back. I don't know how these guys can play together again. We saw what happened once. It's human nature. I don't think you want to do that, and I don't think he'd want to do that. And I've been around the LeBron Lakers now, for 3 months, off and on, and it's a different world. And Kyrie really didn't like that world, and the world ain't changed. It's still LeBron's planet, and everybody else is orbiting around it, and it's not going to change. And I just don't see it. I don't see it in a million years. I know what people are saying, and they're taking hints off Instagram and Twitter and things like that. But I just don't see human beings are human beings, and the reason he left LeBron is still the reason he's there today. LeBron runs this show. Everybody works around him. I mean, LeBron is barely. I've talked to Lakers. I'm sure you have too. It's like he's barely. It's like he's his own organization. He hasn't really melded with the young guys. He hasn't really melded with the organization, with the franchise. It's like he's there. He's their showman. He's their front man, but he hasn't really kind of gone in the back of the band. You know what I mean? It's weird. So I don't. Do you believe
LeBron? Do you believe LeBron is most responsible for all of the scuttlebutt about Luke Walton's job tenure or his future in LA?
Oh, you have to think he's going to. Yes, I think. I know. I think Magic. I don't think, because remember, Magic never hired Luke, so Magic was never on board with him. I don't think anyway. But I do think it hasn't helped, and LeBron could certainly put a stop to it. He certainly could put a stop to it and come out and say something. But it's like I've talked to people who said he's there, but he's not there. It's weird. Maybe he's waiting for the other star to show up. He's waiting for him to show promise. I'm just not sure how invested.
Very last question to you, Bill Plaschke. If Magic pulls this off and he trades the farm, he trades everybody, Ingram, Kuzma, Hart, Kentavious Caldwell-Pope's contract, a first-round pick, he gives it all away for Anthony Davis. Anthony Davis and LeBron James are teammates. Where do you look? How do you view the Lakers from that point?
Oh, they're at least one chance. They're at least going to win a championship. I don't know if they can be together enough to beat Golden State this year. They will win it next year. We've seen it with Shaq and Kobe. We've seen it with Kobe and Gasol. Two great players can win an NBA championship, and because they'll get some veterans, some smart veterans who want to play and chase the ring to come around them. Yes, they will bring at least. This is guaranteed. I'll guarantee this one title for the LA Lakers, the Los Angeles Lakers, if they can get Anthony Davis and team with LeBron James. Now, maybe not. It won't be this year, I don't think. But I think Golden State's going to implode, and there'll be enough there for them to do it next year. And maybe two, but at least one title. Absolutely.
Bill Plaschke, always appreciate the great work. Thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule to join me.
Thanks, man. See you.
All right, the one and only Bill Plaschke, the voice of Los Angeles, columnist extraordinaire for the Los Angeles Times. You can catch him on Around the Horn for ESPN as well. Stick around. Don't ever miss Bill Plaschke for the LA Times. He was right here with Stephen A. Stephen A. Smith Show, ESPN Radio, ESPN News, 888-SAY-ESPN. It's 888-729-3776. We'll get back to your calls about Super Bowl 53, about anything that Bill Plaschke just had to say about Magic, about LeBron, about Luke Walton, about the Los Angeles Lakers. Plus, we'll continue talking some NBA chat as well. And I told you about what the UFC, the Nevada State Athletic Commission, handing down a $500,000 fine to Nurmagomedov, along with a $50,000 fine against Conor McGregor as well. We'll continue to delve into that particular subject as well. So stick around, don't touch that dial. You're listening live to the Stephen A. Smith Show, ESPN Radio, ESPN News. By the way, do you have frequent heartburn? Like the kind where you have antacids stashed everywhere in case it pops up? You know what I mean. You keep some in your bag or your desk or your car or your nightstand. You have those chalky tablets ready for whenever and wherever heartburn strikes. But listen up. There's an easier way to deal with your heartburn. That's Plashke OTC. Just one pill a day will last a full 24 hours with zero heartburn. Kick your antacid habit. It's possible with Plashke OTC. Use as directed for 14 days to treat frequent heartburn, not for immediate relief. Back to your phone calls in a minute. It's Stephen A., ESPN Radio, ESPN News.
I can't believe it.
That Gerald is presenting the quarterly budget report with finger puppets?
Look, here comes a 1.7% decrease in fixed overhead. Hello, everybody.
No, I can't believe how easy it was to save hundreds of dollars on my car insurance with Geico.
Who are you? The projected increase in organic Q3 revenue. Hooray!
Believe it, Geico could save you 15% or more on car insurance.
You're listening to the Stephen A. Smith Show podcast.
Stephen A. Smith Show, ESPN Radio, is presented by Progressive Insurance, making it easy to bundle your home and car insurance. Let's get back to the phones at 888-SAY-ESPN. That's 888-729-3776. Let's go to Skip. You're live with Stephen A. Talk to me, Skip.
Hey, Stephen A., you're like my best friend I never met. But listen, I appreciate you also always giving out credit for Dr. Thunder, Daryl Dawkins, because you're about the only one that ever remembers him. But got a question for you. What are the chances L.A. gets Ty Lue, they get the trade done with Anthony Davis, and then if Klay Thompson somehow gets available this summer, could you imagine that ever happening? And because I think we're always going to look at...
Hold it.
Yeah.
The Los Angeles Lakers get Ty Lue?
I'd love to see Ty Lue should have been fired from Cleveland, but we need some more brothers as coaches. You look at it, it's just there's no diversity.
Sir, I'm not asking you that. I'm not asking you that right now. I'm asking you what you said. So you're saying Ty Lue, along with who else?
Anthony Davis, and bringing in Klay Thompson this summer. I think it can happen.
First of all of those things are plausible. If LeBron loved Ty Lue as much as he said he did, and Magic is willing to take him on board, I guess anything's possible, particularly since Ty Lue helped the Los Angeles Lakers win a championship when they went against Iverson and those boys in 2001. There's some Laker history there. I'm not sure that's the direction that Magic Johnson would be willing to go in. I haven't heard that, but you never know. The priority is definitely to get Anthony Davis, but you need cooperation from the Pelicans. And in the case of Klay Thompson, he says he wants to be a Warrior for life. Now, me personally, I don't know if that was a wise decision for him to make or something that was wise for him to say. You want to position yourself to get paid a boatload of money. I consider Klay Thompson to be one of the top 5 shooters ever in NBA history. I would love him in a Lakers uniform in Southern California instead of Northern California. But we cannot deny that the combination of Klay Thompson with Steph Curry is the most lethal shooting backcourt in NBA history. And if indeed Kevin Durant is going to contemplate leaving, then why should Klay follow suit when it could just be his show with Steph Curry? I don't know about that one.
Yeah, I'd love to see it. I love you, Steve, man. You take care.
Thank you. Appreciate it, man. Thank you so much. Carlton, you're live with Stephen A. What's up, big time?
Oh, man, I got to tell you, Will Kane, Max Kellerman, Damian Woody, and unfortunately even you, Stephen A., you're all fired as the L.A. Rams defensive coordinator. Because I'm going to tell you what the L.A. Rams defense has to do to stop Tom Brady. And this was the formula for how other teams beat Tom Brady this year. You got to do 2 things. First off, you have to reroute the slot receivers, whether it's Edelman or if Gronk is in the slot or they put Hogan in the slot. You have got to chuck them at the line of scrimmage and reroute them. It messes up Brady's timing, and it makes him hold the ball a second longer for the defensive line to get there. The second thing you have to do, you have to spy James White. Because, again, you can't get to Brady before he'll dump it off to James White. Do you know that James White had more yards after the catch this year in the regular season than Julio Jones, Antonio Brown, Mike Evans, Ezekiel Elliott, Kamara on the Saints, Gurley on the Rams? The guy on average catches passes 2 yards behind the line of scrimmage, and he had 667 yards after the catch. So you can let him catch the ball, you got to tackle him immediately. You've got to have somebody spying on them. And I'll tell you, if you do those two things, you can beat the Patriots. But what Belichick will do if you try to chuck Edelman on the line of scrimmage, he'll use pick plays to free Edelman. So you also have to teach your two cornerbacks, your slot and your outside cornerback, to effectively swap off when Edelman is running behind the other receiver and trying to get a pick to free himself. But that's the secret for beating the New England Patriots.
But I got to tell you, Carlton, I mean, I don't disagree with you, but I think that you're in essence agreeing with me without saying what I said. It's like I'm agreeing with you without saying what you said. When I talk about getting pressure on Tom Brady, now obviously you described a methodology that could be implemented in which to facilitate that and pull that off. If you cram them at the line of scrimmage and force them off route and you force Tom Brady to hold on to the ball a little bit longer, then it's about getting to Tom Brady. If you pressure him, like I said, with a front four, leaving 7 guys in your secondary as opposed to 6 or 5, then obviously that's going to bode well for you as well. So I think we're saying the same kind of things as it pertains to that. We all recognize also that James White is a threat. Make no mistake about it. But I think that if you can sit up there and get pressure on Tom Brady, then guess what happens? That sort of makes him going to James White a bit predictable because they'll try to take some pressure off of Brady by getting the ball out of his hands relatively quickly, particularly to James White, who you just highlighted does so much after the catch. But if you neutralize an Edelman, if you neutralize a Gronk, and more importantly, the game gets tight, and those aren't weapons you could rely upon, then the comfort zone that Tom Brady usually has at his disposal will be completely evaporated because he'll now have to go to foreign entities in his mind in order to pull off a win, which I also think bodes well for the Los Angeles Rams. But it still comes back to getting pressure on Tom Brady, no matter what way you have to do it, Carlton. But you
won't get the pressure if you don't chuck the slot guys at the line of scrimmage. You know, that's what San Diego
Well, if you get pressure up the middle and he can't see him, it's a problem.
What's that?
If you get pressure up to the middle, it'll be difficult for him to find him. You know, you can't have him standing in a pocket with a clear view towards everything as well. You've got to suffocate him. You've got to make sure you blind him to some degree, despite his height and whatever. If you put pressure up the middle and you preoccupy him with dancing around in the pocket as opposed to standing still, taking pictures, calling Giselle to let him know he'll be home after dinner and all of this other stuff before you throw a damn pass, that's a problem for you. But if you get pressure on him, that changes everything.
Well, I think he's just too good at dumping. You know, when he gets pressure up the middle, he's too good at dumping it off to White. Outside the pocket. When he gets pressure on the outside, he's too good at finding Edelman on the quick slants, on the 5-yard, 6-yard slants. I think you got to disrupt the timing of the slot guys. The wideout guys, that's a longer throw. It takes time for those guys to get down the field, but you won't get home on them if you don't disrupt the slot guys.
I don't disagree with that, Carlton, but let me put you on the spot. Are you picking the Patriots to lose this game?
It all depends on if Sean McVay is listening to this call. He says, no, Carlton's right about this. I've studied all the films. We got to do this. If he plays, San Diego, I told you on the first series, my God, the game is over. It's what Gus Bradley did and the defense he was running, the game was over from the start, for crying out loud. So if you think that Tom Brady's going to beat himself, it ain't going to happen. You've got to disrupt what he wants to do.
Excuse me, Carlton. If Bill Belichick ends up winning yet another Super Bowl, are you willing to concede that there's no arguing his brilliance?
No, I'm willing to concede that Tom Brady carried them. You know, here's one other thing that Bill will try to do, Stephen A., because I saw it in the Chiefs game. He always is trying to put one over on the refs. He tried to do it in the Chiefs game. It was 4th down and 2 yards to go, and he ran his field goal team out late onto the field, hoping the refs wouldn't give Kansas City time to substitute their new defense onto the field. But remember, the refs said no, and he stood over the ball, and the Patriots were actually called for a delay of game penalty. He was hoping the refs were not going to give the Chiefs adequate time to get off. He'd be able to snap it, and the Chiefs.
Carlton.
What's that?
That's gamesmanship. That's
well,
gamesmanship.
He's trying to put one over on the refs. He's hoping the refs aren't going to do their job, but at least they caught him. No, but he got away with it in the Ravens divisional round game in 2014 when he was doing all the illegal substitutions, and Vinovich didn't figure it out. So he's going to try to do that stuff, especially if he's behind. So watch whatever tricks Bill is going to pull out of his pocket.
I got you. Carlton, always appreciate you, buddy. Can't wait to talk to you. Make sure you call back Friday before the Super Bowl. I'm quite sure you'll have more stuff to throw out there about Bill Belichick, knowing you. Make no mistake about it. 888-SAY-ESPN. That's 888-729-3776. With the Vivid Seats app, it's easy to find awesome seats to any game. Download the app and enter promo code CHAMPS at checkout to get 10% off your first order. 888-SAY-ESPN. It's 888-729-3776. Back with the Stephen A. Smith Show with your calls to close out the show in a minute.
Guess what? You're in the middle of the Stephen A. Smith Show podcast.
Damn it, I mean it! If you missed any of the Stephen A. Smith Show today, don't worry about it. You can listen to the podcast on your schedule on demand. Brought to you by the new Capital One Saver Card. Earn 4% cash back on dining and entertainment, 2% at grocery stores, and 1% on all other purchases. What's in your wallet? Back to the phones we go. Let's go to Josh. You're live with Stephen A. What's up?
Hello, Stephen A.
What's going on, man? Go ahead, buddy.
Man, hey, man, I know you. Man, I know you seen how they cheated us with the Who Dat, man. You know I'm a Who Dat fan down here in Louisiana, man.
Well, you know I've spoken about it every day since that happened. What's your point?
Right. But my question to you is, what you think about AD going to the Lakers and say Kawhi Leonard come down here or go to the Lakers too next year? What you think about that, man?
To the Lakers?
Yeah.
Kawhi Leonard?
Kawhi and AD.
It's possible, but it doesn't seem like a foregone conclusion. It seems like something that has a very low possibility of happening. Everybody that's been talking about it thinks that Kawhi Leonard, the Clippers have a legitimate shot at getting him.
Right. I don't know, man. I don't know. I think we'll see. I know there's too many forwards for the Lakers, man, but I think that'll be a good fit, man.
Well, it would be a good fit. I mean, if you acquire Anthony Davis, in a trade, then you could have over $30 million in cap space to get Kawhi Leonard, but he's going to demand the farm. He's going to want every penny, and I don't know how the Lakers' cap situation is going to be compromised. We'll have to wait and see. Appreciate the call, though, man. Thank you so much. Let's go to Greg. You're live with Stephen A. Talk to me, Greg.
Good.
Greg, are you there?
Yes, I'm here, Stephen. Yes, I'm here.
Go ahead, man. You're live on the air. Go ahead.
Yes, I'm calling from the Bay Area. I'm calling from the Bay Area, Richmond, California, by way of West Philadelphia. And I would like to say the Golden State Warriors who came from Philadelphia, and that's a beautiful thing. So when it comes to Golden State Warriors, nothing wrong for the rest of the league, Stephen A., to be number 2. It's just something for them to get used to. And anybody else is thinking, whether it's Anthony Davis, Miles Davis, Betty Davis, whoever they want to get, it's the Golden State Warriors. In the immortal words of Stephen A. Smith from Bronx, New York, raised in Howland, Queens, would say, for the rest of the league, stay off the weed. That's right. And
Thank
you know it like
call,
a poet.
I appreciate it. Very, very, very nice. Very nice of you to say. We understand it. The Golden State Warriors, everybody doesn't need to just pay attention. It doesn't matter. You're playing for number 2 because the team that's won 3 championships in the last 4 years, that has the greatest shooting backcourt in history with Kevin Durant as a second wheel. I mean, nobody's going to beat him. Wow. You stood online to tell us something so profound, something that we didn't know anything about. I appreciate it. Thank you so much. Daryl, you're live with Stephen A. real quick. Daryl, what's up?
Hey, good afternoon, Stephen A. Hey, much success to you, man. I just want to say, I was just thinking, so So obviously, Jeannie Buss, the head shot caller in Los Angeles, is a woman, and so is Gail Benson, I believe the head shot caller in New Orleans. So what if Gail Benson doesn't view Jeannie Buss with the same kind of contempt or disdain that some of her contemporaries or possibly employees? Does that carry weight as to who AD could possibly get traded to?
No, I don't think so. I think it comes down to whether or not Magic Johnson and Dell Demps can pull off something. Obviously, you're talking about Magic Johnson has control of basketball operations. He can do what he wants. You need cooperation on the part of the Pelicans, and you have an asset like Anthony Davis. What's paramount is you making sure that you get everything you can for him. Simple as that. Whoever makes you the best offer you take. Appreciate the call. Dennis, you're live with Stephen A. You only got 30 seconds. Go ahead, Dennis.
Hey, Stephen A. Smith, big fan. Just want to give you a shout out. Great to be on your show.
Thank you.
I just wanted to ask you a question
25 seconds.
as far as AD. And, everybody's saying he's going to Lakers here and there, whatever. But I really want to know if there's any chance if our New York Knicks can get him.
I don't think so. Because if I'm the New Orleans Pelicans, the only way that you can get Anthony Davis from me is if I'm willing to take Kristaps Porzingis. You have absolutely nothing to offer. Maybe Kevin Knox, and if you get the number 1 overall pick, that's about it. And even that ain't enough for Anthony Davis, who's only 25 years old. Sorry, Knicks, I don't see it. Talk to y'all in 22 hours live from Atlanta. Stephen A. signing off.
That's just a sample of what you'll hear on the Stephen A. Smith Show. Weekdays at 1 p.m. Eastern on ESPN Radio and the ESPN app.